So my name is Jay Weygand. I am a senior in the architecture and design major at University of Massachusetts Dartmouth, and today I am speaking with Joe Pertano. Say hi if you want.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. So just got a couple questions for you. There's 7 of them in total. But the first one is, can you tell me a little bit about your position and place of employment and what kind of company it is that you work for and how you got involved in that field?
Sure. I work for, I'm a union electrician. We work mostly in the state and federal arena. So we do schools, sewage treatment plants, and kind of municipal buildings mostly. And I'm sometimes a foreman, sometimes just a electrician on the job. What was the second part of your question? Was
Go ahead. How you got involved?
Okay. So a long time ago, I used to be a chef, and I decided I didn't want to do that career anymore. And a friend of a friend was working as an electrician, and he informed me that they were hiring apprentices. So when I was 20, I was probably 30 years old, I decided to become an electrician, and so that's kind of how I got into this career.
Nice.
So,
was it an easy transition, or was it difficult to get used to? Because I know you were in the restaurant industry for a while, and that was predominantly what you did. So was it drastically different, your work days? How did that change?
Yeah, I mean, it went from working all nights as a restaurant person where I was at, and then all pretty much 99% days, early mornings, which you adjust to pretty quickly, and then just completely different skill set than I used to have. Creativity kind of goes down, and I don't want to say monotony kind of increases, but there's a little bit of that. But then slowly but surely creativity kind of comes back in, and then, you have chances to, make it more interesting for yourself. And,
right.
And as you continue in your career, it becomes more challenging, just like anything, I guess. So,
great.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. I would say it's pretty easy.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
For the second question, did you attend college or university? If so, which one did you attend, and did you complete your degree?
For cooking, yes, I got an associate's at Johnson & Wales.
Okay.
For the electrical, you have to go through an apprenticeship program, and part of that apprenticeship program is schooling. I forget how many total hours it is, but pretty much as long as you're an apprentice. And when I was starting, I think it was a 4-year apprenticeship. So pretty much every year of the apprenticeship, you're in school, a little bit less at the end. Now I believe it's more of a 5-year, and you are in school until you get licensed. Especially, I work for a union company now. You're always in school if you're an apprentice until you get your license.
Right.
And so I and then I went on and I got my master's license after I got my journeyman's license. So there was more schooling after I got my journeyman's. And so I kind of don't need to go any further unless I want to get an engineering stamp, and I wouldn't do that personally.
Right. Great. In your day-to-day work life, what are some examples of the tasks that are presented to you? Are you assigning your own tasks, or are you assigned a specific role that varies day to day?
Yeah, with the company I work for, it's varied. Now we're kind of finishing up a school, so a lot of it is very varied. It could be lighting, either troubleshooting lighting, say today, troubleshooting HVAC issues, just kind of getting started up on equipment, going. So that's kind of where this phase is on the job on that, and then you know, sometimes they'll say you're fire alarm and you do fire alarm, and
Hmm.
that's all you're going to do for that particular school or building, whatever it is. So
Right.
I kind of tend to get put into that bucket, fire alarm bucket, but now it's because it's just me and another person who's running the job. It's everything. So,
Right.
but, yeah.
Okay. You mentioned that like one of the tasks or like one of the roles that could be inhabited would be troubleshooting HVAC. So for
Mhm.
HVAC, is that something that's installed by someone else entirely, and then you guys work with the electrical components of that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, we don't install it. We basically bring power in this particular job. All we do is bring power. There's another contractor that does controls. So today I was just troubleshooting why wasn't there any power at the air handling unit, and I don't have to do the controls, which is kind of nice because
Yeah.
they are very complicated in this day and age.
Hmm.
So it's yeah. So yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Um, so do your coworkers usually have the same position as you, or are you generally part of a team that has varying parts and positions?
Yeah, generally speaking, say for a job, we just, this job I'm on now, I'll use it as an example again, is it's a elementary school, brand new elementary school. I think our electrical was about, on this one was about 7 or 8 million electrical. At one point, there was let's say 20 guys on this job, and you would have a foreman and a second foreman, and then kind of people doing big roles like fire alarm or lighting, kind of like, and they would kind of head up those little divisions, let's call it. So now it's just myself and the foreman. So I'm just, I'm the number two at this point, and so it's kind of a little bit more informal now. But generally speaking, it's very informal.
Right.
We're all friends, kind of just, you know, do our thing.
Yeah,
Do
great.
what we have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say that the informality level is similar to how working in a restaurant is? Or do you think
Yeah.
there's like, because I know I've worked in a restaurant personally as well. So sometimes there's always like head honcho, but then there's like a lot of other people that on any given day are working at around the same level and share a lot of the same or similar level tasks.
Yeah, I would say it's similar to kind of like that, that brigade system. So you'd have like a chef would be maybe the project manager, foreman would be the sous chef, and then you'd have all these like, department heads kind of doing, like I said, fire alarm or lighting or HVAC or power distribution. And then you might have team members below them, helping out with those systems.
Right.
So, and I tend to do fire alarm has been kind of my thing for several years. So I'm either in charge of it or I'm working for somebody who's a very good friend who is, did this particular job and then I finished it up for him. But
Mm.
the informality is great. It is similar to like there's a camaraderie in our company,
Mm.
and because everybody's really really talented and we're friends, and people that are now more in charge in the office are people I came up with, and I'm happy to see that they are taking on different roles, and so it's nice. It's familiarity, and it's not doesn't breed contempt. It's actually happiness because
Yeah.
it's we're working all together as a team, so it's
That's
nice.
awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I definitely like that a lot about some of the positions that I've held. And it is nice when you can feel that sense of camaraderie with your team in general.
Oh,
Have those people be your friends and like, be like, hey,
yeah.
you want to grab a beer after work is always great.
Yep. Yep.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So, in working in the built environment, what are some of the most outstanding like struggles that you face or setbacks that occur often Like, is there a recurring issue that comes up on a lot of different jobs? Do you see a lot of the same stuff, or?
That's a good question. I'm going to throw architects under the bus if that's okay.
Hey, that's okay. That's why we're here. Different perspectives.
Not to say, I'm not saying not throw under the bus. I would say engineering and architect issues kind of crop up a lot because, obviously that's the reason why we're there, is to realize a vision, whether it's architecturally or engineering wise. So a lot of the issues tend to gravitate towards like perception on what's expected and or what they meant or what they want, or so I think a lot of times it's how do I put this? Expectations are hard to meet sometimes, and the gray areas of putting something on Procore or on a drawing, and then the reality of making it in the field, that lag on making it that last mile to actually have the thing work and look exactly how somebody wants it's harder than you think. So some of that stuff I think is very recurring, I would say. But then supply chain recently has made things more complex. Getting chips for basically for security systems or server. Any like a lot of the stuff in like your IT field is like a lot of that stuff doesn't exist. It's not off of a bench yet. It's not made. So that's created some issues as well. So but things like doors, we can't even get doors.
Nice.
Does that answer that? I hope.
Yeah, it does.
Being too
accusatory against the architects.
Yeah, and it's less accusatory, I guess, and more it's just it's hard to realize somebody else's vision. How about that? Is that the?
No, I definitely agree.
That's
and from like the flip perspective, I feel like when you go to school for interior architecture or architecture, you do learn a very surface level amount about electrical and how that works and HVAC and other parts of the built environment, because you have to understand it at least a little bit to be able to do our job correctly. But I think that's part of the reason that I'm conducting these interviews, is to give a little bit more insight into what can we do better, and also like what do other jobs in this field look like outside of us, because like what does a day look like for someone else who you may be working with directly but has a completely separate itinerary from you, went to school for something completely different, or didn't go to school at all. It's just getting more perspectives about the built environment in general.
That's great. I think it's a good thing.
Awesome. So as an electrician, what are some of the positive and negative aspects of being on site? And did COVID change a lot about those scenarios?
COVID, I think I worked more overtime during COVID than I've ever worked before, which seems counterintuitive, but that's kind of what happened, I think, with that. And being on site was just kind of, awkward, and scary. In the early days, it was definitely, procedures, and I think it was probably with a lot of, in-person work. It was definitely a challenge to feel safe and then to be able to concentrate on your job. So definitely COVID affected, that safety level, that comfort level, and, the unsure on how to be and how to act and how to, exist in a space,
Exist in a space in a time where they're telling you not to exist in a space with other people. It definitely was uncomfortable. I was assuming it would have been similar to how like students felt, where you're doing this thing that is inherently social because you spend so much time around a large group of people, like at work, at school, just all of a sudden was radically changed how you had to act. So
yeah.
Awesome. And then you kind of already answered this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway, see if we can glean anything else. So have you worked in any other fields in the built environment in the past? And if so, how did those differ from where you are now? So I guess this is more like less about like what jobs did you hold outside of the built environment field, and more so, have you worn any different hats in your time in your union? Like, did you ever think that there was a time where you were going to do more of a construction thing, or was it straight to electrical and it's been electrical forever?
I guess when I first started, like when I stopped being a chef, I worked for somebody doing high-end audio, so like and audio-visual in like say luxury homes, like in the Metro West area. So, and I thought that was great. It seemed fun. It was nice to see high-end products and see them, just things that I couldn't afford, or understand exactly why they were, say, what they were for cost. And so I did like that, and I thought, hey, that might be a nice niche. But that only lasted, say, for, several months, and then I went into just construction, and I found that more fun. But then any other different things, I have run work in the past. I plan on still running work in the past, and that is like a challenge, in a different thing within the construction industry, just managing humans, and all that. I think it's like a completely separate job, and not sure I was always qualified for it, especially early on in my management style. I think I probably picked up and carried over some of my chef management style, which is a lot different than what you need in the construction industry. So I think I've got better, but
who's to say,
I'm not
right?
the right person. Yeah, I'm not the right person to ask, but
okay. Well, thank you so much for answering my questions. This last little portion of the interview, I just like to give the person that I am interviewing an opportunity to like offer any thoughts about maybe how the built environment is changing right now, things that you've noticed in the industry that are shifting, or things that maybe concern you or make you like hopeful for the future.
I guess like as far as what I've seen lately, I do like a lot of the new, say, all right, if I can, I'm going to pick a bone, not pick a fight, but I would say the school I'm doing now, I respect. I think the design is, it's clean. The materials are high quality without being extravagant. And I thought like this particular school has been great. And I was very happy to see that they were choosing like quality products, quality lighting, without being weird looking for the sake of, oh, that looks great in the catalog. The exterior looked great, and so I was happy about that. But several, say, 2 years ago, the project we did in Framingham, I think it was the high school, it looked like a space prison or space prison mall.
Oh, no.
And if you look it up, you probably see, some pictures of it. It was really like disheartening because you're like, well, if I was a taxpayer, and I try to look at things as a taxpayer when I'm doing my job, it's like, not to say, oh, we shouldn't do this or we shouldn't do that. It's like, well, how would I feel if my money was going towards this? And some of your money is, you're a state taxpayer, or, your federal tax dollars go to this stuff too. And it's like, I'm hopeful that it's gravitating away from some of that giant atrium for, say, an elementary school or a high school into more of let's give the spaces to do what they need to do. It's great when you walk in. It's this inspiring environment. I get it. I do understand that. But it's nice to see the classrooms have all the technology that they need and all like the the tools that they need, and the kitchens and the cafeterias and mechanical is all well done and future proof to a certain extent.
Yeah. And that's good. I think I agree. I've seen a lot of constructions over the past couple of years that feel very much about the shell and the presentation on the outside and what the energy that it gives off, and not enough about the bones. Is everything funded well in the school? Are these kids getting lunches? You see a lot of taxpayer dollars go especially to schools in underfunded areas. There could be more tax dollars coming away from things that are extravagant and over the top and going to those schools that don't even have enough for cafeterias and stuff. I agree
wholeheartedly. Yeah, I think Weston did a new school several years ago, and it was like this copper facade, this hand-hammered copper exterior, and it's like, really?
It's cool, but why spend $28,000 on that?
I think maybe we could do something different, and maybe we could, like you said, reallocate funds to other places, and maybe lift up some other communities that might need some of that money a little bit more than, say, the copper facade was needed on the outside of the school. I know things have to look beautiful. I do get it. And they're trying to build these things, say, for the next 50 or more years versus, just throwing up a rectangle and saying, there's your school, isn't going to inspire. I do understand. So, design matters, and, a sense of awe, I think, matters, but, reallocation of funds to different communities is also a good idea.
Right. Awesome. Well, that's pretty much everything I had. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope I helped.
Of course, you did.
All right. Good.